Hello and welcome to Haunted Storytime. Today we will cover a well-known creepypasta known as Sonic.EXE. So without further ado, let's begin. I am a total Sonic the Hedgehog fan, much like everyone else. I like the newer games, but I don't mind playing the classics. I don't think I've ever played a glitchy or hacked game before, though I don't think I want to play any after the experience I had. It started on a nice summer afternoon. I was playing Sonic Unleashed. I liked how you get to explore the towns in it, until I noticed out of my ethereal vision that the mailman had arrived and put something in my mailbox as usual and left. I paused my game to go and see what I got in the mail. The only thing in the mailbox was a CD case for computers and a note. I took it inside. I looked at the note first and realised it was from my dear friend Carl, whom I hadn't seen from in 2 weeks. I knew that because I recognised his handwriting, though what was weird is how it looked. It looked badly written and scratchy and somewhat difficult to read, as if Carl was having a hard time writing down and did it in a hurry. This is what he wrote. Tom, I can't take it anymore. I had to get rid of this thing somehow before it's too late, and I was hoping you'd do it for me. I can't do it, he's after me, and if you don't destroy the CD, he'll come after you too. He's too fast for me. Please, Tom, destroy this godforsaken disc before he comes after you too. It's too late for me. Destroy the disc, and you'll destroy him. But do it quick, otherwise he'll catch you. Don't even play the game, it's what he wants. Just destroy it. Please, Carl. Well, that was certainly weird. Even though Carl is my best friend and I hadn't seen him in 2 weeks, I didn't do what he asked me. I didn't think that a simple gaming disc would do anything bad to him. After all, it's just a game, right? Boy, I was wrong about that. Anyway, I looked at the disc and it looked like any ordinary computer CDR disc, except it had a black marker on it written Sonic.EXE. And it was much unlike Carl's writing, meaning he must have gotten it somewhere else, like a pawn shop or eBay. When I saw Sonic on the writing of the CD, I was actually excited and wanted to play it, since I am a big Story fan. I went up to my room and turned on my computer and put the disc in and installed the game. When the title screen popped up, I noticed that this was the first Sonic game. I was like, awesome, because I like the, like I said earlier, I like the classics. I noticed that something was out of place when I pressed start. There was a split second where I saw the title image turn into something much different, something I now consider horrifying before cutting to black. I remember the image looked like in a split second before the game cut to black. The sky had darkened, the title emblem was rusted and ruined. The Sega 1991 was now instead Sega 666. And the water had turned red like blood, except it looked hyper-realistic. But the freakiest thing was, in that split second frame was Sonic. His eyes were pitch black and bleeding with 2 glowing red dots staring right at me. And his smile was stretched wider up onto the edge of his face. I was rather disturbed about that image when I saw it, though I figured it was just a glitch and forgot about it. After it cut to black, it stayed like that for about 10 seconds or so. Then another weird thing happened. The save file select from Sonic the Hedgehog 3 popped up, and I was like, WTF, what's this doing in the first Sonic game? Anyway, then I noticed something off. The background was the dark, cloudy sky of the Bad Stardust Speedway from Sonic CD, and there were only 3 save files. The music was that of the creepy caverns of winter music from Earthbound, only it was extended and seemed to be in reverse. And the image for the save file was, we see a preview of the level you're on, but instead it was just red static for all 3 files. What freaked me out more was the character select. It only showed Tails, Knuckles, and to my surprise, Dr. Robotnik. And I was sure that something was up. I mean, how can you play Robotnik in a classic Sonic game, for crying out loud? That's when I realised this wasn't a glitchy game, it was a hacked game. Yeah, it definitely looked hacked. It was really, really creepy, but as a smart gamer, I wasn't scared. Or at least tried not to be. I told myself that it was just a hacked game and there was nothing wrong with it. Anyway, shaking off the creeped out feeling, I picked File 1 and chose Tails, and then I selected and got started. The game froze for about 5 seconds, and I heard a creepy pixelated laugh, sounding an awful lot like that Kefka guy from Final Fantasy before cutting to black. The screen stayed black for about 10 seconds or more. It then showed that typical title level thing, except the simplistic shapes were different shades of red, and the text showed only Hill Act 1. The screen faded in, and the title vanished, revealing Tails in Green Hill Zones from Sonic 1. The music was different though. It sounded like a peaceful melody in reverse. Anyway, I started playing and had Tails start running like you would do in any of the classic Sonic games. What was odd was that Tails was running along the level and there was nothing but flat ground and a few trees for about 5 minutes. That was when the peaceful music started to lower down into a slow, deep tone, very slowly as I kept going. I suddenly saw something and stopped to see what it was. It was one of the small animals lying dead on the ground bleeding. That was when the music started to slow down. Tails had a shocked and saddened look on his face that I'd never seen him have before, so I had him move along, and he kept that worried look on his face. As he kept moving, I saw more dead animals as Tails moved past them, looking more and more worried as the music lowers, and he moves past more dead animals. I was shocked to see how they all died. They looked like someone had killed them in rather gruesome ways. A squirrel would hang on a tree with what looked like his entrails hanging out. A bunny had all 4 of his limbs torn off, and a duck had his eyes gouged out and his throat slit. I felt sick to my stomach when I saw this massacre, and apparently so did Tails. After a few more seconds, there was no more animals, and the music seems to have stopped. I still kept Tails to continue. After a minute passed, the music stopped. Tails was running up a hill and then he stopped, and it wasn't until I saw why. Sonic was there on the other side of the screen with his back against Tails, his eyes closed. Tails looked happy to see that Sonic was there, but then his smile faltered, obviously noticing that Sonic wasn't responding to him, if not acting as if he was totally oblivious to Tails' presence. Tails walked slowly towards Sonic, and I noticed that I wasn't even moving the keyboard to make him move, so this had to be a cutscene. Suddenly, I began to have a growing feel of dread as Tails walked closer to Sonic to get his attention. I felt Tails was in danger and something bad was going to happen. I heard faint static growing louder as Tails was but inches away from Sonic and stopped and stuck his hand out to touch him. That foreboding feeling in my gut was growing stronger as I felt the urge to tell Tails to get away from Sonic as the static grew louder. Suddenly, in a split second, I saw Sonic's eyes open and they were black with those red glowing dots, just like in that title image, though there wasn't a smile. When that happened, the screen turned black and the static sound was off. It stayed black for about 7 seconds, and then white text appeared forming a message, saying, "Hello, do you want to play with me?" At this point, I was creeped out. I didn't want to continue with the game, but my curiosity got the better of me when I was taken to a different level, with the level title now saying Hide and Seek. This time, I was in the Angel Island level from Sonic 3, and it looked as if everything was on fire. Tails looked as though he was scared of his wits this time. He actually looked at me and made frantic gestures to me as if he wanted to get out of the area he was in as fast as possible. I started to get freaked out by this. I mean, Tails was actually breaking the 4th wall, trying to tell me to get him out of there. So I pressed on the arrow key as hard as I could and made him run as fast as he could. A pixelated version of that creepy theme when you meet Shadow at the Ark as Robotnik on Sonic Adventure 2 was playing. as I made Tails trek through the desolate forest, trying to help him escape whatever he was trying to run from. Suddenly, I heard that creepy laugh again, that awful Kefka laugh. Right after 10 seconds have passed as I helped Tails run through the forest, there started seeing flashes of Sonic popping everywhere on the screen, again with those black-red eyes. The music changed to that suspenseful, drowning jingle as I see Sonic behind Tails slowly gaining up on him and flying. Sonic wasn't running, he was actually flying. The flying pose his sprite was made look very similar to Metal Sonic's flying pose in Sonic CD, except it was just Sonic and he had the black and red eyes again. Only this time he had the most deranged grin on his face. He looked as though he was actually enjoying the torment he was giving to the poor little fox as he gamed up on him. Suddenly, Tails tripped, and this seemed to be another cutscene, and the music stopped and Sonic vanished. Tails lay there and started crying for 15 seconds. The scene was rather upsetting to watch, and I kinda teared up myself. But then Sonic appeared right in front of Tails, and Tails looked up in horror. Blood started to come out of his blackened eyes of Sonic as a grin slowly grew from his face as he looked down at the horrified fox. I could do nothing but watch. Just in a split second, Sonic lunged at Tails right before the screen went black, and there was a loud screeching noise that only lasted 5 seconds. The text returned only this time. It said, "You're too slow, want to try again?" And then that god-awful laugh came with it. I was so shocked by what had happened. Did Sonic murder Tails? No, he couldn't have. He and Tails were supposed to be best friends, right? Why would Sonic do that to him? Why did Sonic do that to him? I shook the shock off as I was brought back to the character select. The save file that had Tails was different. Tails was no longer in the box itself, but in the TV screen itself, which was flickering with the red static. Tails' expression scared me too. His eyes were black and bleeding. His orange fur had gone dark, and he had an expression of anguish on his face. Trying to ignore it, I picked Knuckles next. The laugh came again, and the screen cut to black again, and stayed there for another 10 seconds. This time, the level said, "You can't run." I was really freaked out by now. I couldn't tell if this was really a glitch, or a hack, or some kind of sick, twisted joke, or anything really. But despite my fear of what happened next, I kept playing. The next level looked much different. At the ground, a scrap rain zone, but the sky background looked like the main menu. It had a dark reddish cloudy sky. But it was the music that creeped me out the most. It sounded like Gigi's theme right after you beat Pokey in Earthbound. I also noticed that Knuckles looked afraid, just like Tails did. Though not as much, he looked a little unnerved. He broke the fourth wall just like Tails did and looked as if he wasn't sure what was going on, but I made him move anyway. He ran down a straight pathway in this dark level. As he did, the screen decided to flicker with red static a couple of times, and then that maddening laugh came again. Then after a few seconds of running, I noticed several blood stains on the metallic ground. I felt a growing sense of fear again, thinking that something horrible was going to happen to Knuckles. He looked nauseated walking down his blood-stained road, but I still kept him going. Suddenly, as Knuckles ran, Sonic appeared right in front of him with those black and red eyes, and the red static appeared again. When the static finished, showing nothing but a black screen with text saying, "Found you," in alternating capital letters. I was now scared. Sonic found Knuckles already? What was going on? Anyway, red static came again, and then I was back to the level. Knuckles looked like he was panicking as Sonic was nowhere to be found, and this time that high-pitched squealing from Silent Hill 1's final boss was playing. Was this some kind of boss battle with Sonic? I hope to God it wasn't, honestly. Suddenly, Sonic appeared right in front of Knuckles in what appeared to be pixelated black smoke. I made Knuckles turn and then punch Sonic, but Sonic vanished in the black pixelated smoke before I could even land a hit. That terrible laugh went off again, then Sonic appeared behind Knuckles again, and then I made him punch again, and Sonic vanished again, laughing. Knuckles was panicking even more, and I even felt like I was going crazy, so Sonic was practically playing with us. He was playing a sick little mind game with me and Knuckles. Another cutscene played as Knuckles fell to his knees and clutched his head, sobbing. I felt his agony. Sonic was actually driving us both crazy. Then, in a split second, Sonic lunged at Knuckles and the screen went black again, with another distorted screeching noise that lasted for at least 3 seconds. Another text message appeared. So many souls to play with, so little time. Would you agree? What the hell? Just what is going on? I started to think that Sonic was actually trying to talk to me through the game, but I was too scared to think that. I was brought back to the main menu, and this time the second vault box had Knuckles on the TV screen. His red fur had darkened to a reddish grey, his dreadlocks were dripping with blood, and his eyes were black and bleeding too. He had a look of sadness on his face. I began to think that those are the actual characters trapped in this TV screen on the save files, but I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to believe it. So I shut off the game and took a break. I took a nap, which I hadn't, because I started having the most disturbing nightmare. I was in pitch black darkness, though I was under a light given off by a lamp that hung above my head. I could hear cries of Knuckles and Tails nearby. They were saying stuff like, "Help us," and "Why did you give us to him?" and "Run away before he gets you too." Their cries died out, and then I heard Sonic laugh. His laugh sounded a lot like the distorted Kefka laugh. You're a lot of fun to play with, little kid, just like your friend Carl, though he didn't last long. I was scared and looking around for the source of the voice. Won't be long now until you join him and all of my other friends. I saw him walking towards me, flickering in and out in several directions. You can't run, kid. You're in my world now, just like the others. When he grabbed me, I saw his bleeding black and red-eyed, grinning face. I woke up with a fright. After a couple of hours, I decided to continue playing the game. I don't know why, but I had to know. I had to figure out why this was happening. So I turned on the computer, turned on the game, and selected Robotnik next. I still thought that was wacky, playing as Robotnik, but anyway, the level title appeared again, and this time it said 3 dots, which I found really freaky. This time, I was in some kind of hallway, which didn't really look like it was from any of the classic Sonic games, though it had pixelated style. The floor was shiny and checkered. The walls were a dark greyish purple with animated candlelights and a few dark blood stains here and there. There was a dark red curtain hanging above the top part of the screen. Every 12 seconds or so, the red curtain sways very slowly, but whenever you're playing the game, you barely see it move. The music was oddly pleasant, a piano playing a rather sad yet peaceful song, but I knew better. This was a song that played in Hill Act 1, only it wasn't in reverse. Robotnik didn't look entirely nervous like Tails and Knuckles did, but he did have a suspicious look on his face, as if he was a bit paranoid. He did a little animation where I just left him standing. He turned his head from left and right, and then to the right again, at least twice, and then shrugged at me, as if he has no idea where he was or what was going on. Even though I was scared out of my mind about what was going to happen, I had to continue forward with Robotnik. He did his usual running animation, you know, when you've beaten him at the end of a classic Sonic game and you chase him, as we continue going through the hallway. Then I stopped at a long flight of stairs leading downward. Now I was nervous. Even Robotnik seemed unsure of his health, though I pressed onward. As I led Robotnik down the stairs, I noticed that the walls had gotten darker and more reddish. The red torches were now eerie blue. And then we landed onto another hallway. This one was longer than the last one, or at least it felt like it. And then we headed down yet another flight of stairs, this one much longer. It took at least 1 full minute. Then I heard that horrid Kefka laugh again, and the music slowly faded until it was quiet. As it did, the walls turned more dark red, and the torches were a black flame now. When Robotnik landed onto the third hallway, I noticed how he looked really creeped out, though tried to hide it. I couldn't blame him, I was scared too. Suddenly, Sonic popped up right in front of Robotnik in the same way he did to Knuckles, and then red static. Red static lasted for about 15 seconds, and then it showed me a most unpleasant image. The image showed a hyper-realistic view of Sonic, standing in the darkness where you could only see his face while his head and torso faded to black. And when I say hyper-realistic, I mean it looked like it was real, so you could actually see the lines on his blue fur. As if you could actually feel the fur if you touched the screen. His face, though, oh god, it had the most horrifying smile I'd ever seen. And that's saying something considering I saw that image at the start of the game. His eyes were wide and black and once again crying blood. and there were two small glowing red dots in his eyes staring right at me, as if staring into my mind. His grin was wide and demonic. It literally stretched the side of his face like the Cheshire Cat, except Sonic had fangs, very sharp fangs. Much like the werewolf's teeth, except more vicious looking, somewhat yellowish, and from the look of it, he had stains of blood and small bits of flesh on his lips, and fangs, as if he ate some animal. I stared at that gruesome image for a good 30 seconds, never taking my eyes off it. I actually felt as if he was looking at me, smiling at me. That face. It took 10 seconds for it to etch itself into my brain for good. Then the screen flickered with red static again 3 times, and on the 3rd time I heard the Kefka laugh, except this time it sounded distorted, demonic even. I went back to the image again, except this time there was text again, though it was messed up. It was pretty much one of the most horrifying things I'd looked at since I had this game. I am God. It was when I read that message while looking at Sonic that hit me. I realised there and then. This Sonic was a monster, a pure evil, sadistic, all-power, nightmarish, demented monster, and all his victims, including Tails, Knuckles, Robotnik, and possibly Carl, are just his little toys. And this game is the very gateway into his chaotic, nightmarish world, and the very hell his victims are trapped in. Suddenly, in an actual split second, I screamed. Sonic lunged at the screen, screeching loudly with his mouth wide open to an unnatural length, revealing nothing but literally a spiraling abyss of pure darkness before the red static came in. This time, louder and distorted, so loud that I hurt my ears. I yelled and grabbed my ears as the red static screeched for a good 7 seconds. Then it stopped, showing nothing but a black screen. As I sat there staring at the black screen, the last text came up. Ready for round 2, Tom? The Kefka laugh, now sounding more clear as the song was right behind me, played again 3 times as I looked at that text in shock and confusion. Then I got booted back to the main menu, and this time the 3rd save file had a TV image of Robotnik in the same tormented state as Tails and Knuckles. Robotnik's skin had turned a dull grey, his moustache drooped and had blackened, his glasses broke and blood was coming from them, and he had a mere dead-like expression on his face. I looked at Tails, Knuckles and Robotnik and cried a bit. I pitied them for the agony they're going through. They were forever trapped within the game, forever tormented by that horrid hedgehog, and always will be. Then the computer shut itself off. I couldn't turn back on, no matter what I did. I sat there for maybe 25 seconds, horrified by what had just happened. Sonic is the very embodiment of evil. He tortures people who play his game in more ways than one, and then when he gets bored, he drags you into the game, literally drags you into hell, where he can play with you always as his toy. I can't get that game out of my computer. I think it's stuck there, but at least I managed to turn it back on now. After I sat there for 25 seconds, I heard a voice right behind me like a whisper. Try to keep this interesting for me, Tom. I turned around to see where the voice came from, and this is what made me scream. Sitting on my bed, staring right at me, was a Sonic plushie, smiling with bloodstains up just right under its eyes. I hope you enjoyed that, guys. This was my first Haunted Storytime with Jack video, and I hope it went pretty well. In my opinion, the video seems okay. I mean, first go, don't shit me around, but yeah. This is coming Sonic.EXE, which the first time I read I was pretty creeped out about, and I've played a ROM, well, not a ROM, but a recreation of it before, which was a fan-made version of what the game might have looked like if it was real. And before you suddenly get any ideas, I am not doing a Let's Play of it. At least I'm not yet. For Halloween, a dare sort of popped up, and a friend said that for Halloween I had to do a Let's Play of Sonic.EXE. And I'm going to be bullshitting. There's going to be a face cam on it as well, which will basically just it will allow you to see my reactions to the images on the screen. you may have heard in the Creepypasta the bit where the image comes up saying I am God. That is the bit where I'm going to be most shitting myself about, because I can't stand scary faces. I don't like scary faces. And seriously, when I say I don't like them, I don't want them. Thank you. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I'm going to be making more of these. They won't have this little retarded thing at the end, but, you know, I just had to put it in as it was my first. So, at the moment, thanks for 20 subscribers so far. A little milestone, which I've been wanting to put it out, and this is a kind of celebration video, but I wanted to do this for quite a while now. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.